Hey, here we go. Check this out.
This is Whole Nother Level with Dwayne Lindo.
You know, frankly, I feel that we shouldn't even be talking about this. Simple as that.
The great L. Bushman.
They'd have to make so many adjustments, but I don't know what they have to do. They need a mirror. They need her?
Our girl, Kristen Yalway.
Yeah, it's going to be another show. Britney Spears has her show in Vegas. The Raiders are going to have their show in Vegas.
Frank Mazzei.
Did they win the offseason in free agency? Yes. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Craig Cousins.
How can you not put Tom Brady number one on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks? Man, this guy's a legend. Rings speak.
And Derek Wilson.
I didn't know Eric was going to let you talk.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. I've seen enough Facebook posts to know that you're not a Giants fan. Let's go. And welcome everyone to another edition of Whole Nother Level right here at Co-Works, Florida. I'm back. This is your man Eric, joined by Frank Mazzei and the great L. Bushman. Gentlemen, what's going on? How are you?
Oh, you're in a better mood now.
What do you mean I'm in a better mood?
All day long at our day job, you were in such a sour mood.
I was not.
Yes, you were.
I was focused. I was dialed in, man.
No.
I had stuff that I needed to get done.
Frank, he was in such a sour mood, he went and had a meeting without me about the show.
I did.
It's kind of like the Seinfeld episode where George Costanza's like, you know, at work, if you always look like you're mad, people think you're busy and
Right.
getting things done.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? I had to have this because,
Sour,
like I
sour
said
mood.
to you, everything that I had my conversation with today, I already tell you.
Okay.
Why do I need to repeat it to you? You already know it. I mean, if you want to hear it again, I'll tell you.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
No, it is.
He's just mad because
you had
our friend Alexis,
You had a meeting without me.
who works with us, she is assisting us on the marketing side of things. So Alexis and I had a conversation.
At work or?
No, it was, well, we took a break.
No, I'm saying, is she assisting you in marketing for your? For,
No, for sure. For
Oh,
sure.
okay. All right. Okay.
With us.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. With us here, whole nother level.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was, I just wanted to talk to her. I needed to get her thought and opinion on stuff like I do from all our fans and listeners. By the way, 813-699-5353 is the number to chime in. I want to hear your thought and opinion as well. He's just mad because I went out and talked to Alexis without him. That's all.
No, I don't care about that. I'm saying you had a show meeting without.
I did, and she gave me some good insight. She gave me, some good direction. But like I said, this is nothing new. So, but anyhow, we are live, gentlemen. Can I just say first and foremost, I had an extremely eye-opening experience this past weekend. I was very fortunate enough to attend the NFL Combine, and again, I want to thank Dr. and Mrs. Lynn Lashbrook for the Sports Management Worldwide Conference that I went to. I'm sure, as you've seen by my pictures on Facebook and all social media, I was doing Periscope videos outside of Lucas Oil Stadium, which, if you've never been, go see a game there. I like that stadium a lot. I really do.
It's really a dump of a town, but
outside of downtown Indianapolis,
it's a dump of a city, a dump of a town.
There really wasn't much, but you got to experience it though. You know what I'm saying?
This is Indianapolis or Indiana as a whole. Fields. That's it. You have Purdue and Indianapolis, and that's it.
Isn't there like a really good? There's supposed to be a really good steakhouse there in downtown Indy that like all the NFL guys go to when they play the Colts.
There is, you know what, and I know what you're talking about. I just can't. I can picture it right now, but I can't think of the name. There's a place called Rock Bottom, which is a brewery. Bushman, you would have loved this place. Mm-hmm. I thought of you when I was walking in, just because my God, I'm losing my train of thought here today.
Steak.
No.
Crab legs?
No, the brew, the
kegs.
beer.
Oh.
Not the kegs,
Tanks?
but the tanks, where they're actually brewing the beer.
Okay.
There were guys still in there at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, just, going through the process. And they had probably about 30, 40 different taps. And, It was just a really, really cool place. I went there and had dinner Thursday night. The Indianapolis Colts Grill is like, I guess that was like the main spot for a bunch of people. So, and again, big shout out to Sports Management Worldwide. They put on a great event for all of us. I got to meet Adam Schefter. Really, really relaxed, chill guy. I know this guy always seems like he's on the phone and he's very like hype, but this is a man who, when you listen to his story, it's like, wow, he's just pretty much like anybody else. And the guy's 50. Doesn't look it.
Looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid.
But he's 50.
Wow.
Yeah. Jen Mueller, who actually is a sideline reporter for the Seahawks and the Seattle Mariners. Got to talk to her, a much in-depth talk to her. Mark Dominic, former GM of the Bucks. I actually got a chance to really talk to him. We're actually working on getting him on our show, kind of being our insider kind of guy when it comes to all things NFL related. He actually is still here in the Tampa Bay area. Jimmy Wilkerson, former Buccaneer. Actually talked to him as well. Just, I met so many people. I mean, I could go through the list of everybody that I met, but I mean,
yeah, Dominic has his own Sirius show.
Yeah,
he's on the radio.
He does. But the one thing I did want to say to you gentlemen is next year you have to go, because to be able to go to the Combine, and I'll get into it a little bit more as the show progresses, it was one of those things where I was very blessed and humbled to be able to go. I was very happy that I got that opportunity, and I can't wait to go back next year already.
Listen, I had a good excuse, okay? I went to Disney World. I celebrated my girlfriend's, daughter's six year birthday.
Right. No,
it was a good time.
Of course. I get it. I'm saying when the opportunity presents itself, you got to take advantage of it.
Okay.
So that's all I'm saying.
If it doesn't fall on the 4th of March, then I'm there.
Okay, I got you.
But if it doesn't, then...
If it does, then you know what? Listen, priorities. I'm all
Listen, we're going to the draft.
Right, we are.
I'm actively looking online for a Buccaneers 3-piece suit. Like a zoot suit.
Oh, I got one for you.
Well,
the Eagle one that I showed you, they have them in all 32 teams.
What website? You didn't even send me the website for that. I've been looking through Google, through everything for a website that will make a 3-piece suit full bucks.
All right. We'll talk about it after the show, but I want to ask you gentlemen a question because I was unfortunately delayed getting back here. So I missed UFC 209. So Frank, I mean, talk to me about it, man. Did it live up to the hype? I've seen mixed reviews about this thing, so I want to hear from you.
Did it live up? No.
No, it did not.
It did not live up to the hype. Was it better than UFC 208? Yeah, but that's...
By a smidge?
And that's not saying anything because UFC 208 was terrible. So that's like just... No. I mean, it's not good when you're being compared to UFC 208 and it's like, well, you were better than that. It's like... No, it didn't. I mean, and look, and a lot of that was, Khabib and Ferguson not fighting. I think that took a lot of wind out of the sails, and I think people were expecting, because the first match with Woodley and Thompson was just like, oh man, so incredible. Everybody thought that the second one was going to be like even better. It's like, oh man, this is going to be so good. And it was basically the exact opposite. I mean, because people were thinking, it's like, well, they know what each other does, each guy does now, so they can game plan. They're going to change and make strategies. The strategies and the game plans that they did was, okay, I don't like getting hit by this. I don't like getting hit by this dude. Damn, no, that hurt. I'm going to, we're going to do this. And it was just like, they didn't do anything. I mean, it was like 3 rounds.
There was only one good fight that whole card.
Yeah, I mean.
There's only one good fight.
It was just, Tyron Woodley, he won it. But, look, he didn't really win. A lot of people had Thompson winning that fight. 3-2. So he basically got the benefit because it went to decision, and MMA judges suck because they don't know how to score MMA bouts. So, he basically got the benefit in that regard. Alistair Overeem and Mark Hunt,
what I heard was Overeem he had the flu, and he was fighting.
Food poisoning, yep.
Food poisoning. So, in that fight, look, so lopsided. Mark Hunt, even though he looks out of shape all the time, looks so out of shape, so winded. So, that fight was kind of boring, too, because that round 3 came along, and you could see in Hunt's face he was gassed, and then Overeem overpowered him, and they hit him right on the butt with that knee, and he was done.
Look, I mean, Mark Hunt's 40, and he's been in some wars. I mean, like, just straight throw down.
I was expecting more from that fight. I was expecting more fists, more of a war, like you said. I was expecting more, and I was sorely disappointed. Just for having that, for the main fights to have it start off like that, I was like, oh, it's going to be one of those snoozers of a card again.
I mean, and look, Rashad Evans' middleweight debut. I mean,
he's done.
I think people were excited about that, and yeah, it's time to ride off into the sunset. I think
he's done.
You're past it. I mean, look, moving down to middleweight, okay, maybe that's what you needed. Some smaller guys. You might be a little bigger than them. It's time. You just need to focus on whatever the next step of your career is, analyst, coach, trainer.
He'll be in the next Fast and Furious movie. Yeah. That's where all those, all the MMA fighters seem to go after they retire. They be in a
So wait, I want to get back to what happened with Khabib. Why did this fight not happen?
So what happened was he was, he had to cut weight for this fight.
Okay.
So some fighters do, as we've seen with Cyborg. Sometimes when you're cutting weight's not really good for your body.
Right.
And when you're in an extreme cutting weight, he did it so much that he was hospitalized. I think he had to drop 20 pounds or something like that.
He went to the hospital. Yeah. And look, there's different reports out there because Dana said that if he would have gone, that his team went rogue and took him to the hospital. And any doctor that sees a fighter that's cutting weight is going to tell them not to fight.
Right.
You need to go to the UFC doctors and have them, because Dana said that this fight could have still happened had they brought him to the UFC doctors who have a better understanding of the weight cutting and everything. But this is the argument against weight cutting, is that guys want to be so much bigger than the guys that they're fighting. So it's like, yeah, you're fighting at 155, but normally Khabib probably walks around at 190.
Okay.
So, and it's like that in every weight class. I mean,
right.
like Tyron Woodley, the 170 welterweight champion, if you see him out of camp, he's over 200 pounds most likely, just walking around like, jacked. So that's what they want, because they want to get that weight cut, make that weight, and then get IV'd, and then they balloon right back up. And then they got a day to recover before the fight, and he walks into that fight at about 190 pounds. And now Tony Ferguson's doing the same thing.
Exactly.
But some fighters don't cut as much weight. Some fighters only cut 10, 15 pounds, and maybe they're smaller for that division because of that. So, it's unfortunate, because this is the third time this fight's been canceled. Once from Khabib, second time it was Ferguson that had to pull out because of injury. And then now weight cutting issues. It's like, if you have trouble making your weight, you may have to think about that 100 moving up to 170. I mean, if 155 is that hard for you to make, it's just.
When I saw your Facebook message, it was such a little kid where you got like socks for Christmas. You're like, no.
Dude, I was so I was so looking forward to this fight. Like, you just maybe more than any other fight that I can remember in recent memory, just because of how good both those guys are. I mean, I don't know what you do now. I mean, do you try to I don't even think the UFC tries to rebook it, honestly.
Well, I wouldn't, because I heard Dana's pissed.
He's
pissed,
yeah.
So he doesn't even want to do it. But I think what saved that the whole card was the David Tamir Lando Venata fight. It was crown fight of the night.
Yep.
Rightfully so. It was a great dog-out fight. These guys are going at it all 3 rounds. I mean, it was just a dogfight until the end. And I mean, David Tamir is a beast, man.
Dude, he's only lost one. I mean, 6-1, I think 7-1, and that's a good win. Mm-hmm. That's a good win for him. Honestly, I think they're going to make Tony Ferguson and Conor. Look, Tony's won 9 fights in a row in the UFC, so it's not like he's undeserving. He's been the number 1 contender, number 2 contender when Khabib, leapfrogged him. So, and if you can't trust Khabib to make weight, I mean, I'm sad for it, because I wanted to see that fight,
right.
And I don't want, but yeah, Dana's probably not going to be interested in talking to Khabib anytime soon. Mm-hmm. So, you may want to make, I don't even know if you do another interim, because Connor's taking time off for his kid. His wife or girlfriend is.
I thought he was training for the Mayweather fight.
Well, yeah. No, look, I got a better chance of fighting Mayweather.
Mayweather said he needs to sign the paper. Mayweather said that today. He's like, sign the paper. If you're the man, if you're the boss, sign the paper right now.
But see, Conor can't make that fight, though. That's what UFC, I don't want to say they own Conor, but yeah.
So right now, if that's what Mayweather is saying just sign the paper. So what is the holdup? I mean, does Dana White have to get involved in this?
Yeah. Conor can't negotiate nothing, basically.
Okay.
All he can do is talk, run his mouth, and look, he's trying to get the legal loophole, the Ali Act and stuff, so that to say that he can do it or whatever. But I heard an ex-UFC fighter, Brendan Schaub, said one time, he said the reason why the UFC does what they do is because they have better lawyers than everybody else. And yeah.
I mean, yeah, I get it, but I'm saying clearly if Conor wants this fight and Mayweather wants this fight, which is what it sounds like, and they've agreed to the monetary value of what this fight's going to be, so that way both of them, I mean, they're both going to walk away from this. Just
if you're Dana White, how much are you gonna give me
as the promoter?
How much are you gonna give the UFC? How much? How? Where's my money?
What kind of gloves are they? I mean, have they? Yeah. See, I don't know how much. One, they need to get it sanctioned by a state, and an athletic commission has to agree to sanction the fight.
Okay.
Which, good luck on that. I mean, I'm not saying that they can't, but it's not really smart from the standpoint of you wouldn't sanction an amateur boxer, which is basically what Conor is,
right,
to fight a pro boxer in any state, really. They'd be like, what are you, nuts? This guy's going to get, his clock clean. Now, I think Floyd had the great quote, come take your ass whooping and make $100 million, basically, which, yeah, I mean, that's a good possibility that happens. This fight ain't going to happen. I don't think.
You still are saying no.
I don't think it will happen. I don't, because even if they get that close, if the UFC gives their blessing, which, hey, it could happen. They need to make. They paid $4 billion for it. That new company needs to get some of that money back.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you. Clearly, the investment of this fight is going to help offset the cost that UFC has had to endure, with the direction that it's going. So that's why I'm saying to you, if this is something that both participants want to see happen, and everybody, including us here at a whole nother level, are talking about it, saying that whether it does or doesn't happen, we want to see it happen. I mean, for the most part. I mean, Frank, I guess I've never asked you, do you want to see this fight? Do you want to see McGregor versus Mayweather?
Oh, yeah. Would I watch it? Sure.
Okay.
I'd go somewhere to watch it.
Okay, I'm asking because you are probably one of the few people that I've talked to that have been like, well, this fight isn't going to happen. Whereas people like the great Al Bushman, and even myself to some degree, are like, well, it's still the possibility. It's still not without the realm of possibility.
I'm not saying that it's impossible that it happens. I just, if you want right now, I'm still skeptical because, again, glove size. You want 4-ounce MMA gloves or 13-ounce gloves that the regular boxers wear? I mean, that's a huge difference. I mean,
right.
MMA gloves, it's almost, it's pretty much equivalent.
Knuckles.
Exactly.
It's
equivalent to just getting hit, and as opposed to those big pillows that, that Floyd hits people with.
But don't you think that it would give Floyd, if he was to wear those 4-ounce gloves, I mean, he might have an advantage, you think? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Floyd's power or his speed is one thing, but is he a better striker? Well, not striker, but is he a better boxer, shall we say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, he's
without the gloves, I mean.
Well, look, when every fight in your entire career has been with one-size gloves, and then all of a sudden you change it, your strategy is wrapped up in those gloves. I mean, they play peekaboo with those gloves because they're so freaking huge. You can put them up here and basically hide your face behind those gloves, which, could give you a little bit. There's some strategy in that regard. You ain't hiding behind no MMA gloves.
So why can't Conor have his gloves? Mayweather has his gloves. Why can't they? Why do they have to be the same?
It's got. I mean, look, if you got an athletic commission in there now sanctioning it, they ain't going to sanction different gloves because, one, it would give Conor an advantage. I think Conor has the MMA gloves. I think gives Conor the advantage, and
there's a lot more padding in boxing gloves.
Well, no, I know, I get all that, but what I'm saying to you is, if you're going to make it on the equal playing field, then give both these guys.
Here's my ruling:
what they're used to.
No boxing gloves, no MMA gloves, bare knuckle fight.
I'm fine with that.
Bare knuckle fight.
I mean, I'm cool with that.
I mean, look, honestly, that favors McGregor. I mean, just look, Floyd's. I'm not saying that Floyd has never been hit, but when you get hit with those 13-ounce gloves as opposed to getting hit with 4-ounce MMA gloves, I mean, it's night and day. I mean, you feel it a lot more. And to Evan's point, it's basically bare knuckle. So,
okay, all right. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little football. I would like to talk a little NBA only because the craziest thing I saw happened this past weekend. And, of course, folks, we want to hear from you, 813-699-5353. This is Whole Nother Level, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to Whole Nother Level right here at Co-Work, Florida. I'm your man, Eric Wilson, joined by Frank Mazzei and the great L. Bushman. So, gentlemen, I know basketball season is kind of making towards the tail end before the postseason, and we kind of dig a little deeper into it. But there's something I do want to talk about. And I'm doing this solely because I need to just kind of get this off my chest when it comes to, making deals and making trades when it comes to pretty much any team. But any organization. But I'm going to stick to the NBA because, as we all know, the Cleveland Cavaliers made some changes on their roster for Andrew Bogut. And there were people who were talking, saying, oh, this is a great move. Cavs are going to lock now to go to the NBA Finals. They might repeat. So all the paperwork is done. I's are dotted, T's are crossed. Players are going wherever they're going. And Andrew Bogut comes to the Cleveland Cavaliers. For about all of 58 seconds, dude gets out there, runs into somebody. What do he do? Tear his knee bone, shin bone, femur? I don't know what he did.
The MCL, I think it was the tibia.
That sounds right.
And now he's out.
Yeah.
Yep.
You done paid this brother how much money for 58 seconds?
Oh, don't get me wrong. The Cavaliers are probably still going to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, they were locked to go to the finals.
This just made them
without him. I mean,
this was supposed to make them a little bit better.
Yeah, but 58 seconds?
This was to beat Golden State. Basically, they brought in Andrew Bogut to help them beat Golden State. They didn't bring in Andrew Bogut to help them get to the finals. They were already going to get there.
Okay, but here's what I will say to you. Even though the Phoenix Suns pulled that buzzer beater on Boston the other night, I think Boston truly can contend with the Cavs and make at least a 7-game series.
Cavs better hope they don't play Miami in the playoffs. They cannot beat Miami.
Interesting.
At all.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't get to regular season and postseason.
I understand. Listen, it's a horse of a different color. I got you. However, what I'm saying is, first and foremost, really? Less than I could have stood on the court for 60 seconds and not ran into somebody to get. I mean, I'm just like, and now you got to pay this guy. There's no timetable, is there, of when he's slated to possibly come back?
Yes, there is, actually.
Oh, there is?
Next year.
Okay, I'm sorry. I meant for the rest of this season.
No,
he ain't playing nothing.
They announced today he is totally done for the season.
So I'm like, you basically are going to sit the bench, go through rehab. I'm sorry. I just can't go to 58 seconds. Like, it just alarms me. I understand things happen, freak accidents, but come on. I could have stood there for a minute before somebody ran in. I mean, that's the one thing that boggles my mind. Here's the second thing. Speaking of the Phoenix Suns, do you guys realize the Phoenix Suns, a team that hardly anybody ever talks about unless you live in Phoenix, have had 3 buzzer beaters this season? 3 against teams. I was like, wait, really? 3 buzzer beaters to where it came down to the wire and Phoenix somehow, some way, not once, not twice, 3 times, pulled off the victory.
Well, they need something to get excited about in Phoenix because it ain't, I mean, the team stinks.
I know, but at least this is like, really? You got 3 of them? I mean, how many buzzer beaters can you honestly say we see throughout a season with particular teams? I mean, listen, Friday night. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Friday night. I was watching Atlanta, Cleveland. And let me tell you something. It was the Kyrie LeBron show to the point where the announcers were calling it almost an exhibition game against the Hawks. And I guess the Hawks must have got pissed off because they were down 28 points at one time. And they brought that game all the way back to being within 3. Now, granted, Cleveland closed it out, got the job done. But, I mean, I'm watching this and saying to myself, okay, LeBron and Kyrie together truly I didn't realize the severity of the force that is the two of them. Because they were just dropping threes like it was nobody's business. I mean, they were doing everything. And Atlanta just seemed to have no answer. Like I said, I don't know what happened.
Atlanta's a terrible team.
Well, they got Dwight Howard, so yes.
Though they were terrible before that, even when they got
him.
He just made the team worse.
Getting him was not helping.
They traded away a bunch of good players, too.
They did.
Yeah, like a dumpster fire over there. No, Cleveland's going to be all right without Bogut. It's a sad loss because, they signed him to a contract. They picked him off waivers. They expected to get that over that hump in the playoffs. But
what hump? They're the reigning NBA champions.
The hump would be Golden State. Come on, man.
Okay, but they did it last year.
Well, that's because there's a bunch of chokers on that team.
I mean, granted, Golden State got Kevin Durant. Now, he's out for a month.
Yeah, but he'll be back.
He'll be back, and I get that. But now the rest of this team is going to play without him, and
they did it with it last year. I don't think they really need KD at this point anyways. I mean, they felt it.
Well, hold on. How can you say that when they didn't win last year? They were up 3-1 without Kevin Durant, and LeBron and Kyrie came back and whooped them.
I said this at the beginning of the season. With or without KD, they're still not going to win it. They'll go to the finals, but they won't win.
Even with Kevin Durant.
I submit that if Draymond Green doesn't get suspended for that game, Golden State probably wins the championship.
Yeah, if was a fifth.
I'm just saying, it's not like Golden State is not in the Cavs league, so to speak, and then they add Kevin Durant. I mean, yeah, I have them winning it.
So I got one guy here sitting saying to me that Golden State with Kevin Durant is not going to win the NBA Finals.
Nope.
Frank, I've got you sitting here saying that regardless of whether Kevin Durant plays or not, the fact that Draymond Green, as long as he stays healthy and isn't a knucklehead, they are going to win it this year. Am I correct in that assessment?
I think, with Kevin Durant, I'm saying.
Okay, so with Kevin Durant and Draymond Green not getting suspended.
Oh, yeah. I believe that Golden State probably wins it last year if Draymond Green plays that game. But again, as you said, if Amari Stoudemire didn't get suspended back then when he played with the Suns, they maybe beat the Spurs that year, but, didn't happen. So, but yeah, I think so. Look, is it as big of a lock as I thought it was going to be at the beginning? No. San Antonio, look, again, they're right there. It's not like their record is not, that far behind Golden State. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Spurs beat the Warriors.
Speaking of the Spurs, they have clinched the playoff spot for the 20th straight season, making a postseason appearance every year under Popovich since his first full season, 1997-98. 20 straight years the Spurs have been in the playoffs, and nobody – that was like a blip that came across my feed one day, and I'm like, how is this not a bigger thing? 20 years? 20 years you're going to the postseason.
I heard something today that the fewest amount of games there was only one season in Tim Duncan's entire career where he didn't win over 50 games. And that was the shortened season in 99 where they only played 50.
Right.
And they were like 37-13.
Right.
So it's like, it's not just that they were making it. It's like, you almost get spoiled,
but no one talks about it.
And that's what because it's San Antonio.
And that's what they want. They want to fly under that radar right now.
If they were Boston, New York, or L.A., even Chicago it would probably be the lead story on SportsCenter, but it's San Antonio.
They're still a small market team.
Yeah.
But 20 years, 2 decades, and you are consistently in the postseason. What I guess I'm still not getting is how have we as a society not given San Antonio the love and respect they deserve?
Because they're not flashy.
Yep.
I don't care whether they're flashy or not.
ESPN doesn't like non-flashy. That's why ESPN's laying off a bunch of people.
20 years!
It's not flashy. It's not sexy in San Antonio.
The Cash Me Outside girl on Instagram has like 70 million freaking followers.
Who was it? Charles Barkley said all the women in San Antonio don't look good.
Oh yeah, that was Barkley. Yeah.
All the women in San Antonio don't look good.
Of course, I like Hispanic women, but I've been through San Antonio. There's actually some pretty decent. There's good food too.
It's not sexy.
It's like Mexican food, and the Spurs.
That's all you got.
20 years, guys. Come on, 20.
They got the pastor there, Max Lucado, that wrote all those books.
Okay.
It's San Antonio. It's not
sexy.
Yeah, and look, as much as we may appreciate what San Antonio has done, that's not what the league wants. They want, people have short attention spans. They want to see guys come out with.
But how do you ignore? I won't say ignore it, and I don't want to say dismiss it. How do you not speak on it, though? 20 years?
And their best player, Kawhi Leonard's their best player, and Kawhi is just following in that role of David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard. This is what we do. This is how we do it. Pop doesn't want them out there running their mouths and doing all that stuff.
I get it.
No.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. How did the New England Patriots, after what they went through before they got Brady, okay? Because all the names you just mentioned, Frank, are all superstars. All of those guys, the Tim Duncans of the world, the David Robinsons of the world, the Tony Parkers of the world. And now Kawhi Leonard is becoming that next guy in the San Antonio Spurs lineage. So my question to you is, just because New England went out and got themselves a Tom Brady, that has elevated them to this dynasty status, so to speak. The Spurs are 20 straight, have not missed a postseason in 20 years, have titles to back it up, and we don't give them the love. I just cannot, I can't fathom that. We give it to a team in football when they are on the come up. You mean to tell me that, let's just say for argument's sake, let me think of a team here. Okay, take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs were one of the worst teams in the NFL. And then in the late 90s and early 2000s, look what happened to that team. From Dungy to Gruden, they turned it around. And what did they become? They became relevant. People started paying attention to them. And what happens? They won a Super Bowl. The Spurs over 20 straight years have been consistent and have shown you the model on how to be successful in the NBA. But we don't talk about them. So what you're saying to me is Tampa's more flashier than San Antonio.
No. They're both small markets.
Right. So then how are we? But Tampa got love.
They got love for that one shining moment.
But you still got it. But you still got it.
San Antonio's gotten some love.
Not like they should.
It's the ESPNs, man.
It's
small market.
Look, most people outside of San Antonio don't care about the Spurs. There's some teams where you have fans in other cities that like them. You know, like there's kids growing up all over that are Lakers fans, never been to LA in their life, but love the Lakers because it's LA.
What's a bigger story? That or what's happening in Golden State without KD? Steph Curry had a bad game. What's going on with Golden State? What's the bigger story?
Well, that's because the Golden State Warriors were just in the NBA Finals last year.
Bogut's done for the year. Is Cleveland going to make the playoffs? What's the bigger story?
Okay.
Cash Me Outside girl got money to do a reality TV show. What's the biggest story?
I see your point, but I tell
you what, if you want, on our Facebook page and our regular page, HNL3.com, please go to it. We'll put a section for you just for San Antonio. You can do a blog about San Antonio.
Here, look, I'll give him even some more love. Outside of Tim Duncan, every player on their roster, any of the other NBA teams could have had. Tony Parker was a bottom of the first-round pick. Manu Ginobili was a second-round pick. I mean, you look at where they draft because they make the postseason every year, guess where they draft? At the bottom of the first round.
Right.
So, it's not like they're getting top 5, top 10 guys. I mean, they traded up to 14 or 15 to get Kawhi Leonard, and they gave up George Hill to do it. George Hill for Kawhi Leonard, and, but nobody thought that Kawhi Leonard was going to be Kawhi Leonard back then. I mean, he was just coming out of San Diego State. But, I mean, look, it's pop, but it's also, I mean, R.C. Buford is probably the best GM in the business because the stories is that, he sits in little Iowa farm towns watching guys that nobody's ever heard of because that's his job, and he likes it. So
okay.
What troubles me is we have spent almost a whole segment talking about San Antonio.
Well, I'm sorry.
You know what?
Yeah, I would.
And that's the most coverage they've had in the whole year.
Because in my opinion,
and on any sports show besides the San Antonio one.
I'm just saying they in my opinion they've earned it. So damn it, I'm gonna give it to them.
No, I agree with you. I think they've earned it, but they're just not gonna get it.
All right. Well, let's move to the combine since I was there. I even brought my little notes here. They gave me this wonderful NFL scouting combine information guide. And let me just say again, if you've never experienced the combine, which I know that hasn't happened for a lot of people because the NFL was they had a tight grip on allowing the public to come to the combine. And their rules are like strict. No cell phones when you actually go into the stadium. If they see you with a cell phone, they will remove you immediately. No refund.
Like a Dave Chappelle show.
No nothing. No noise either. They actually, and I'll show you guys, they gave us these headsets. And you put it on.
So you got some swag.
And Marshall Faulk was the speaker. So when you had this on in your ear, he was talking to you. Giving you his opinion on what he saw and what was going on and just kind of guiding you through the combine when they were going to commercial on TV. Now, this also now is a radio. I can actually use this as like a AM FM radio.
That's pretty cool.
But I was taking notes because I was like, all right, I know I'm going to have to talk about this when we come back on the show here.
Let me and Frank ask you.
Sure, please.
Okay, so biggest surprise of the combine.
I mean, clearly it was John Ross.
Okay.
Breaking Chris Johnson's record. They must have replayed that thing over and over. Now, here's the thing. We were actually outside in the concessions area. We were not allowed in because they only allowed a certain group in for X amount of time. But we got to see it on TV like everybody else did. But then we got to go in after when they continually were showing it. And this brother, he talked to Michael Irvin, but he was done for the day. When they said he was done, he was done. He didn't do anything else.
He also injured himself.
Well, he was dehydrated, so he just wanted to err on the side of caution.
And does not get the free island because he wore Nikes.
Right. Doesn't get the free island because he wore Nikes.
Dumbass.
Oh, geez.
Listen, it's coming back to bite Adidas in the butt, though, because now Nike wants this guy.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, I mean...
Look, if I ran what do you run, like a
4.22?
4.22.
I'd be done for the day, too. That'd be like my mic drop. Just, yeah, I'm done.
What did you see, or what was your biggest disappointment? I know Christian McCaffrey really had a bad bench.
All the running backs, man.
I heard Dalvin Cook had a really good one.
With him being the only exception, but the whole running back class as a whole did not perform to the level that a lot of people were expecting them to, because we even said it on this show. The running back class in this draft is deep. And I don't think any of those guys really gave it. I won't say they didn't give it their full potential. I think nerves kicked in. You know what I'm saying? They're auditioning for 32.
And this is what I don't like about the combine. I think it's kind of a waste of time for everybody.
Why?
Because you have 12 games that scouts should be looking at. A combine where they're doing sprints and doing bench presses. These are strength skills. It's not. They need to. they need to do away with the combine, just go straight into the pro days and then do the draft, because the 12 games that they see the college games that they see, that's their tryout.
Hold on.
That's the tape they need to evaluate.
Hold on.
That's why I think the combine's stupid.
Well, okay, I'm going to disagree with you because I've been there. Had I not been there, I might be inclined to agree with you. But now that I've actually been there, let me explain this to you so maybe you might change your mind. You might not. But
I'm not.
For the sake of having this discussion, look at it like this. As opposed to going to all these different colleges and looking at this person or that person based on the 12-game tape that you speak of, now you're letting everybody who you feel or who is making themselves eligible for the draft, they have to audition, okay? It's no different than doing theater. It's no different than when a new business opens up. It's no different than, trying out for something. You open the door to a number of people. Now, whether you feel they're going to be a fit for you or they feel they're going to be a fit for you, the option is there. So now they come.
You can tell that off of a bench press and a 40-yard.
But it's more than that.
Now, I get the interview part. Part where they have to go interview with the teams.
Exactly.
They have to question them about their character and any kind of flaws they had. I get that's a good part they need to have and keep. But the other thing with just the whole, I just don't see the point of it, because if you're not watching the tape throughout the whole season when they're doing their games in college, that to me is your audition right there.
But I disagree, because what if, let's just take.
It's just another money-making thing.
Let's take Deshaun Watson for a second.
NFL Network
all right, let's take Deshaun Watson for a second.
Okay.
Everybody watched his tape. Why? This guy was phenomenal. This guy was great. And speaking of him, in the combine, this brother showed out. All right? What I saw from Deshaun Watson, I'm telling you right now, whichever team picks him up, you have just made yourself better because of him.
Except for Cleveland.
I don't want Cleveland to take him. But if they even do it with the number 12 pick or the number 1 pick, I'm just saying they've made their team better. All right? I like this guy. But everybody watched his tape. If I told you who Ryan Switzer was, you know who he is?
No. Well, actually, yeah, I do.
Is he related to Barry?
Yeah.
No, he's not. I take that back, Frank. I don't know if he's related to Barry. But anyhow, the guy's from North Carolina. He's a wide receiver. Let me tell you something. I watched him, and I have to agree with what Rich Eisen said. This guy is going to be the next Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, Danny Amendola. Not only does he have the look, but he has the physique, and he's got the skill to fit right into the Patriots mold.
See, they also said that about Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Lee.
I get that.
The next guy.
I get that, but I'm basing it off what I saw. Most of these guys will tell you what they've seen from their own eye test. I'm telling you what I saw from my eye test. So let me just break down a couple of these guys for you. First and foremost, Rodney Adams from South Florida, local guy. Mm-hmm. I like this kid. I could see him fitting into a Green Bay scheme based on what I saw. I think Aaron Rodgers and him could hook up and be complementary to one another. Now, I'm a little biased on this guy, but I do like him. Chris Goodwin from Penn State.
Gee, I wonder why.
I said I was biased.
I wonder why.
He looked good in his 40. He looked accurate. I liked him. All right? Go ahead.
We talked about earlier about flash, and that's what happens sometime at the combine is that, and look, it's on the scouts and the personnel department. They get caught up in it too. When guys come out, Mike Mamula. I mean, Philadelphia Eagles drafted him.
Yep.
Actually, they traded away picks to the Bucs, who the Bucs used to get, I think, Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp and everything. But he came in and was just working. That's where the workout warrior term came from, because, man, he could bench press, he could jump, he could run, he could do everything except play football. And that's what you get caught up in. And because, Tom Brady's combine numbers,
they were
stunk.
Terrible.
They did.
And so it's I don't have a problem with it as a piece of the evaluation, because you need to look at everything. But some guys do have bad, a bad day. It could be, whether it's nerves or anything. But there's been guys that have come through the combine and were terrible and ended up being, once they got their moment, so to speak, they they did it.
Right.
And guys like Trent Richardson, who had a great combine, stinks now. I don't think he's even in the league now.
Right.
No.
Let me go through some more of these. I know we got a couple more things to talk about. Isaiah McKenzie from Georgia. I don't know where he's going to go, but I like him. And I think any team that picks him up is going to be able to groom him into their system. Michael Rector, and I apologize if I get any of these names mixed up here, from Stanford. His upper body strength, I think, is what spoke to me because, this was a guy who I was looking at him. I'm like, wow, he seems to have that physique. Darius Rogers from USC. Speed and accuracy. He's got both, and I like them. One of the gentlemen that I met, actually, Fred Ross from Mississippi State. He's got Odell Beckham Jr. hair, which made him stand out a little bit. But what I liked about him was just he seemed to just have, how we used to say when LeBron first came out, LeBron had court vision? I think he's got that. I think he knows the field and understands from one end to the other. I already spoke about Ryan Switzer from North Carolina. I said, in my opinion, he's going to be a Patriots player. The speed of Kermit Whitfield from Florida State. He's got some speed on him, and I like that as well. Mike Williams. No, I'm sorry.
Tim Williams.
No, Mike Williams was he's a wide receiver from Clemson.
Yes, who's no longer in the league now.
Bobo Wilson. Jesus Wilson, Florida State, another guy. Love his hands. Love his hands. When they were running the gauntlet, it was like the ball and his hands were like magnets being attracted to one another. He just seemed to be able to make the adjustments, and he knew where the ball was at all times.
So I'm really surprised you haven't brought this up. A couple of things.
Go ahead.
Well, we have a 40-yard dash we need to do.
Yes, we do.
Even though we're all out of shape.
So I was thinking about this, and before we go into
and I know you want us to maybe pull it off till like when the draft is about to happen, but I think we need to do it soon because there shouldn't be any time for training. We should all do it while we're out of shape and see how well we do.
Yeah, but I don't want anybody to pull any injuries.
That's why we stretch before. Maybe we can have our own NFL combine where
that's
we
fine.
Do that.
Listen,
who does the best.
Craig, Dwayne, the Great L. Bushman, and myself, after they saw my pictures, and Frank, you saw them too, and you were a part of the message chat. I said, let's do it. I said, we need to have a whole nother level, 40-yard dash, fastest time. You and our girl, Kristen, can be the judges. Frank's got his money on Dwayne right now. And
I ain't betting against a Jamaican in a race.
You do know, black man has done some running in his life too.
That
was what, 20 years ago and 50 pounds later?
Not 50, about probably 30, 40.
Can any of that genealogy be traced back down to Jamaica?
At this particular point in time, no. Because I could probably trace some of it back to Africa, though.
Who do you think's draft stock probably got hit the most? Who will probably fall?
Just from what I've seen, actually, I think I did write that down. There was one guy in here who I was like,
because I know since McCaffrey did really bad, he's probably going to go now really late.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking that too because he was already fighting the white guy running back label.
That whole stigma. Yeah, I think he was at least going to go maybe third or fourth. But I think
Victor,
he's going to drop it.
No, hold on, not him. I'm sorry, I was going to say Victor Bolden from Oregon State, but not him because he's a wide receiver. No, there was a quarterback.
There was another guy that even had a worse bench than McCaffrey.
Oh, this guy, Notre Dame, Deshaun Kaiser,
quarterback.
Yeah, his throws just looked off to me. They really did. Like, I understand, they're asking the wide receivers to run at 75% speed, but just run the route. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like Deshaun Kaiser I don't know, it just wasn't there. I think his stock may have dropped. All right, so we can talk about winners and losers of the draft and the combine and all that stuff and the cap space as things goes on. I want to talk a little Tampa Bay Rays baseball.
Sure.
Before we get out of here today, here on a whole nother level. And again, thank y'all for chiming in. We really appreciate it.
We'll be at J-Dubs this weekend, remember that?
We will. Saturday, we're going to be at J-Dubs, 11:30 to 12:30. Make sure you check out our Facebook page, Whole Nother Level.
Free parking.
Yes.
Free parking.
We're going to be there.
They're going to have food trucks.
They are.
Food trucks.
We're going to break down the NL Central.
Yes.
With the Pittsburgh Pirates. And we're just going to talk baseball. So come have some beer, enjoy some food, and you get to see the crew from Whole Nother Level. We're going to be there from 11:30 to 12:30. Game starts at 1 o'clock. Make sure you check us out. We're going to be there live for you. So, the fantasy preview of the Rays. Great L. Bushman, this is your team. So,
yes.
Let's break down the projected lineup right now. Kiermaier leading off, followed by Miller, Longoria, Dickerson, Duffy, Colby, Rasmus, Steven Souza,
yes,
Logan Morrison, and Kurt Casilli.
I like it so far, except for Casali.
Excuse me.
I think Sucre might take Casali's spot at catcher.
Really?
Sucre is actually doing pretty well hitting-wise. I think he's had a couple of dingers already. He's looking good at the plate, so I think they'll make a change. I think Sucre will start over Casali. I do like the idea of having Kiermaier at leadoff because he has speed. He's been doing pretty well behind the plate during the spring so far. I like that. I like the lineup so far.
Now, your rotation. This is what I want to ask you.
Yes.
Because they're still going with Archer as your number one, followed by Odorizzi, Cobb, Snell, and Matt Andriese. Andriese. I personally...
Flip-flop, a Cobb number one.
No.
Archer number two?
I was going to flip Odorizzi and Cobb and make Cobb number two.
Cobb's more of a frontline starter. Odorizzi's got the stuff. I just think Cobb is that number one guy. Now, you can maybe flip-flop Archer and Odorizzi.
Okay.
The only thing with Archer is I don't like the fact, and I hate this every single year, is the WBC, the World Baseball Classic. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that this is not like another, the hockey game they have, the World Hockey Championships. I don't like it because now one of your star pitchers is going off and playing this tournament away from your team.
He's representing his country, though.
I understand that. I just don't. I think it's the wrong time of year to do it because he could get hurt. This happened a couple of years ago with Fernando Rodney. Rodney played the World Baseball Classic, came back, and was not the same pitcher, and he was terrible for the Rays. I don't like it. That's why I just don't agree with the WBC during spring training. I think you need to stay with your team, train with your team, and get ready for opening day instead of doing a tournament.
So now opening day, and we're going to be at Ferg's for that. Opening day, you're putting Archer out there on the mound. Mm-hmm. Opening day against a divisional team that some would say has gotten better in the New York Yankees.
We'll see. I mean, I saw Archer pitch against the Red Sox. He's been having a great spring. I got to see him train a few weeks ago, and then he started his first spring training game against the Red Sox not too long ago. I got to see him, start. He looked great. His command was there. His fastball was there. He's locked in. Just the only thing is that going to translate into the season? We hope he does. Right. And that's why I hope when he goes to the World Baseball Classic, he's not getting overused. But, I mean, having him as number one, having him start against the Yankees, that's fine.
All right.
I have a problem with it.
You're okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
Any surprises or anything that you're looking to see this season? And of course, as the season goes on, we will get into this more and more and more with the Rays, the rotation, players. But just from what you've seen so far, how do you feel about your team?
Pretty well, actually.
Okay. Do you see them getting over the 75-win hump?
Yes.
Okay.
And I said that when we had our show at Ferg's.
Right.
I've liked the production I've seen out of the young guys. I really hope the front office takes a look at the minors and brings up those guys that actually deserve it. Like Willie Adames has been doing fantastic throughout the whole spring training. Brent Honeywell, who's a pitcher in the minors too, they should need to maybe take a look at bringing him up. There's just they have a good crop of guys that I think could maybe fill those holes, like Casey Gillespie at first base. There's some of the moves that a lot of us don't agree with. Like, bringing Logan Morrison back. I mean, he's terrible defensive-wise at first base. He's a terrible bat. Why not take a chance on one of your guys in the farm system? So one thing I would like to see for them to do is bring up those guys that deserve a chance. I mean, this team was last place last year, a really bad record. So what else do you have to lose?
Right.
And there's only one way but up.
Okay.
So I would like to, if they're at a point where they're doing as bad as they were last year, you need to start bringing those guys up.
All right.
To start looking at the future.
Okay. Well, with that, we are going to take our leave. We will see you guys Saturday. Remember, 11:30, we are going to be at J-Dubs off of 12th and 301. Food trucks, free parking. Come join us an hour before game time down in Ed Smith Stadium where the Baltimore Orioles are going to be playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. But before that, have some beer, have some food. Come check out your boys and our girl, Kristen, at J-Dubs. Whole Nother Level is going to be giving you a live show talking baseball for an hour. So for the factual Frank Mazzei and the great Al Bushman, this is your man Eric. And until Saturday, we've taken you to a whole nother level. We'll see you next time.
Gee, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.